Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton and Adam here, as we are trying to be weekly. Took last week off. Lots of travel going on in our circles, so everybody had to get caught up. But we're back. How you doing, buddy?
I'll be good in a minute. I don't like you being higher on the screen than me. Okay, there. There, we're good. I'm good
Big
now.
show tonight.
I'm good. We're even.
We got Kyle Steckly going to join us. Chase Briscoe's going to join us. Ryan Dyson, and I invited a couple others.
Fabulous. What a freaking weekend. It's a bummer you couldn't partake in it. As it turns out, you could have, but Ohsweken Friday night, Nova Scotia Saturday night, Delaware Sunday night, being able to be there for all three of those was pretty darn cool.
Yeah, for you, the weather kind of lucked out because they crammed everything from what was supposed to be a Saturday, Sunday in Nova Scotia. They backdated that knowing the weather was coming on Sunday, got both races on Saturday, which let you fly back to the Delaware race that was supposed to go Saturday. They got pushed to Sunday, made it in just after qualifying, and we had a great race. The winner of that race, Kyle Steckly, is going to join us here in a couple minutes to talk about that. He was also a contender in the Ohsweken Dirt race, which is coming up in less than 2 weeks' time, so about 12 days from now. We're excited about that, and we'll discuss how that one comes down. It's not even 9 days, not 12. 9 days till the big race. So we'll talk about that, and, of course, Chase Briscoe just signed with Joe Gibbs Racing, going to join us tonight to talk about the deal to come to Canada, some of the sponsors he's bringing with him, and some partnerships. And, hey, it's always good we get a current Cup star here on our little program. So great to have Chase Briscoe joining us. And then Ryan Dyson. He won the Superstock race on Friday. We'll talk about what that meant to him to pick it up at his home track in Delaware. And, of course, lots of other cool stuff to talk about. Adam, where do we go from here? Kyle Steckly's going to join us in a couple of minutes. What else we got on the rundown, just so we know what we want to talk about while we set this one up? We'll talk about NASCAR Nova Scotia. Burger Barn Videos Week is also. I want to talk about kids in the pits at Ohsweken, which is kind of becoming a bit of an epidemic, and I want to talk about that. We'll discuss world of outlaw restrictions and gadgets we find from around the way, and we figure that out. Answer Steve Conway's question. We're planning the autograph session for about 4 or 4:30. I'll have that official meeting with NASCAR in the next day or so, but it'll likely be 4 or 4:30. We're setting up at the Ohsweken NASCAR race, what we're talking about. We are going to be setting up a Fresh Dome fan zone in Glenn's front yard area, just off kind of where our VIP tent is. We'll have all kinds of stuff there. Bouncy castles, the junior fan club will be doing some stuff. Now, Adam, trying to get a dunk tank there. I think we could raise some good money charity. People love to throw some balls at us. So,
and here's what I'd like to do. Sell people tickets if their kids want to fly. And I will get in the bouncy castle. I'll climb a ladder, and I'll jump into the bouncy castle, and they can watch their kids fly.
Wow, that could be entertaining. If you're over water, I'm doing it. You can launch me, bud, but I don't know. My luck, I'd be the one that lands just off the trampoline or landing mat, break the back on all those terrible shots. Let's talk about next week. I just confirmed with Joel Robinson, our TSN producer, that as it says on the rundown here, just under Kyle Steckly, sprints on TSN, Rev, and G-Force next Thursday. The big races will be filmed for TSN to air on the Dirt Series that you and I will be voicing again next week, the first race from Granby. So it's exciting to get the sprints on TSN, and also our regular broadcast. G-Force will be capturing it live, and it'll air on Rev a few days or a week later. So super cool, Adam, that we can bring this kind of coverage to the Dirt Sprints. I think it's been probably one of our best accomplishments in the past 5 years, I think, to get the sprint cars out there and show off what we can do.
No, 100%. I mean, if someone had said this 10 years ago, Clinton, they'd say you're crazy. As if you're going to get sprint cars on TSN. As if you're going to get modifieds from Granby on TSN.
Yeah.
Up until 2007, when NASCAR had everything going with TSN and the NASCAR Canada Series switched over to TSN, even that was kind of unheard of. TSN was the big brother where mainstream sports go. So it's pretty cool.
I think back to when the only time I remember Raceline came to Merrittville with Eric and John and the boys back 25 or more years ago, maybe 30 now. Let's jump in with Kyle Steckly. Enough reminiscence from the past. Kyle Steckly's here, and Kyle's had a busy season, flying around like like a rock star that he is, Kyle. You've got some air miles in this year also. But man, you've had some great wins. Welcome to the show. Let's talk about Saturday, where qualify, fast time, go out, win the race. Kind of business as usual for you lately, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're all right. We're all right. Was that it? Was that a walk in the park, Kyle, or do you
No.
make it look a bit easier than it is? Because Joe was catching you, but then you started laying down crazy laps. Like in the 90s, you started running your fastest laps of the race, and it was cat and mouse.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, honestly. I think the cars kind of came to us there at the end, and Joe was definitely putting the pressure on me, and luckily I got a bit of a gap there on that last restart. But people say I should come back here and just win all these races in the APC series and all that, but it's not that easy. It takes a lot of work, and there's still a lot of really, really good drivers out there, a lot of good competition, and it's not any easier to win these races.
Kyle, as you become more prolific in picking up these wins, what's been the biggest thing that has helped you? Is it learning how to save the car? That seems to be very key in these races. To me, as a newcomer to the pavement side, it appears to me that with them being impounded after qualifying, you kind of have to come with a good setup enough to qualify decent, but still hold on to it for the entire distance. And is saving your tires, is that the key to these races right now?
Yeah, it's definitely really important. I think I've been good at making my car pretty bad at the start of the races, honestly. So I haven't really done a great job at making the car good off the hop, but it's played into my favor a lot in the end of those races where it comes down to it, and it definitely comes to me as the races go on. So that's cool. It's just constantly learning and adapting, and definitely down south has helped me a lot. Just be patient, save the car, and be there when it matters.
Once we get to the fall, Kyle, the races are a lot longer. What did the tires look like? I'm sure you guys had a good look at them after the race. How long would they last?
I don't know, maybe 110 laps, 115 laps. I don't know. Delaware's pretty hard on tires, I think, but still not great. For wear and issues and problems. I know some other guys were blowing them out and having other issues. So it's tough. It's something we have to deal with and watch for sure. But definitely better than last year. We're making gains. Obviously, no issues at any other tracks. Just that new asphalt, I guess, has seemed to really take a tear on those tires, and that's just part of the strategy that you got to look out for and play into a factor.
Kyle, we brought you on a bit to talk about the upcoming dirt race. First year you were crew chief to Stuart Friesen. Last year you got the opportunity to win the car that won the race the 2 days before because of the rain out. Tell us a little bit about the team's plan for that. With now you're going to be a teammate to Schrader on the same night, the preparation of those cars, and what it's like building a car for Schrader.
Yeah, it's cool. We've been, really, really good on the dirt the last couple of years, and obviously Trayton winning 2 for us, and Schrader got 1 last year. So that's really cool, and I had a lot of fun there last year. So looking forward to being behind the wheel. It's always just that little bit more fun than being on the crew. As much fun as that is as well. But I'm looking forward to working with Kenny again, and we've stayed in touch since last year's race, and he wanted that exact same car, so I said, okay, you can have it, and I'm going to be in the car that Trayton ran the last 2 years. So I'm okay with that. We both got a couple of good cars, and working on making them a bit faster yet, so we can keep up with what everyone else is doing to try and catch us, I would say, on those dirt races. So looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be another fun day on the dirt.
Kyle, talk to us about the difference between driving the APC late model, driving a NASCAR Canada car, and driving the ASA car.
Yeah, they're 3 kind of completely different cars. I mean, the APC series and the ASA Stars National Tour are kind of similar. They're both, late models and similar rules and setups and that type, but obviously a lot more horsepower down south. So, it's just 3 different things, and you really got to get in your mind, you're racing your super late model today, or I'm racing the pro late model today, and what you got to do to go out there and be as fast as you can. So I haven't been in a NASCAR Canada car since last year at Delaware, but I'm looking forward to getting back behind the wheel of one of those because I think they're, probably one of the funnest cars I've driven. Just having to manhandle it, work it, and a little bit more in the driver's hand, I'd say, than the late model programs are.
Kyle, you mentioned all these other things. I'd be remiss as the promoter of Ohsweken if I didn't ask you, like, any thoughts to ever testing out a sprint car like Trayton's been doing, and we've had a few of the other guys test it out? Does your dad concentrate on where you are, kid?
No, I'd love to get in a sprint car. I think that'd be badass. I mean, I don't think you get the true feeling of what dirt's like in the NASCAR Canada Series just because of, the way you have to drive the cars and how those cars act on the dirt. So I think it'd be really cool to get in a sprint car sometime and try it out, or even a street stock or anything on the dirt. Those modifieds are pretty crazy. So, some I'd like to do in the future for sure.
What sort of goals do you have now for the remainder of the ASA season? Kyle, you've seen how you stack up with the competition. You've had some great runs. Is victory lane knocking on your door or what?
Yeah, I hope so. I think that's the goal for sure, to get a win this year. I think there's some, good tracks we're going to, some really good opportunities for us coming up, places I've been, places that, might fit well into my team's character and what my car is going to do. It's definitely tough. It's, every track's so different and the competition's pretty crazy. So I want to get a win for sure. I think that's definitely possible with the Rhett Jones Racing team, and we're just going to keep working away at it. We're growing as a team. We're all learning and, having a lot of fun while we're doing it.
Last one I got for you, Kyle. That's a busy week. You got 2 cars to get ready for the Ohsweken race on Thursday, and then you have the APC race at Flamborough on the Saturday. How does that affect your prep for the week?
Yeah, not at all. Just got to work a little bit harder. We're going to go out to Flamborough and race this Saturday night to get some more practice in and keep trying to make that late model better. And I think we got a good handle on our dirt car program. We've been working on stuff over the winter and getting stuff ready, so we're prepped for that. Obviously, the schedule my dad has with the NASCAR Canada Series is a little slower than what he has in past, and we're in pretty good shape for that. So, we're just going to keep digging away and hopefully come up with a couple wins.
Kyle, we'll let you get back to work on your cars. Thanks for stopping by. You're gracious with your time, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Kyle Steckly, soon to have his inbox full of opportunities on dirt. I know there's going to be like at least 4 or 5 guys that are there. I'll put him in the car. Man, it's good to see Scott. Scott hustled back to catch to compete with them, and it was just it was good to see him there. He was happy to be there with them.
So happy. And Scott's so much more relaxed now at the race. He's always been pretty chill, but to see him as a proud dad is really cool to me. So I've enjoyed that for him for sure.
Yeah. Mike, where were you? We had Mike Lichty on a month ago. He must have been on vacation.
Might have been 2 months now. But I would like to get Mike back on and sort of get his feedback. He wasn't sure what to expect. Now he knows what he needs to do and what it's all about. So I'd love to hear what he has to say about it.
Right on. Well, let's welcome our next guest now. Chase Briscoe, NASCAR Cup driver, is going to join us here. And welcome to the program, Chase. Good to have you with us, and we're excited to have you coming to Canada. Welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here. Excited to get up there next week and have some fun on the dirt.
Chase, about that, I mean, you must get solicited to do a lot of races in a lot of places, and there's only so many days in the week. How do you decide where you want to go?
Well, dirt is a big part of it. I tried to not do a whole lot of extracurricular stuff outside of the dirt racing stuff. So, I've ran probably 15 or so midget and sprint car races this year. And then, anytime there's a NASCAR race on dirt in the past, whether it's the truck series or whatever, I always try to make it a point to go run it just to show my support. And, I feel like dirt racing is something that we really need, obviously on the NASCAR side. And, then doing it, north of the border is going to be pretty cool too. I've been able to come to Canada, I want to say 2 or I guess 3 times, I want to say now, to race actually at Mosport, and I've always loved coming up there. The fan base is incredible, and just the excitement level that they have for motorsports. So yeah, it's been fun to always come up there and race, and excited to do it at Ohsweken. That's a place that I've watched a lot of races at before. I've never been there in person, but I've certainly watched a ton of races. I remember watching the Outlaws there in the past, and obviously watching some of the sprint car stuff they have there on a weekly basis. So, yeah, excited to finally see it in person and see how it goes.
I'm curious, Chase, because I got when you might have talked to some of the other NASCAR Cup guys. We've had like Christopher, Tony, Kyle Larson, Case Kane. Anybody give you any talks about Ohsweken and what you can expect when you roll in there next Thursday?
Yeah, I talked to Christopher a little bit about it, and and Tony even, because Tony I know loves that place, and even now that I'm thinking about it, I talked to Schrader about it too. So yeah, I've talked to quite a few guys about coming up there, and all of them have talked about how much fun it is, and they all told me it's going to be nice and slick and wide, which is always nice whenever we come run. A stock car on the dirt. I feel like the slicker and wider it is, typically the better it is. So yeah, excited to get up there. Would have loved to figure out a way to maybe do the sprint car stuff, but just didn't allow it to happen this year. So maybe if we come and do it again, run the sprint car too. But yeah, it's something I'm really excited for. Like I said, I've seen a lot of videos of the place and watched a lot of races there. I know Tony, that's where he got his first ever Outlaw win. And it's funny, I was talking to Tony a couple months ago, and I was like, if you had to pick one car and one track to run for the rest of your life, like what would it be? And he's like, I think a 410 sprint car at Ohsweken. Like he absolutely loves that place. So it's gonna be fun to finally go up there and see if I can do something he's done and get in victory lane there.
It's interesting, Chase. The names that you mentioned, every one of them has run a NASCAR Canada car. Not on dirt necessarily. Tony raced when it was cast car. But these race cars are not like anything that you've ever driven. What have they told you about these cars?
Not a whole lot, to be honest with you. I don't really know what I'm getting into. I know that by looking at them, they don't look, anything out of the ordinary per se. I've seen a couple highlights. I went back and watched some of the other Ohsweken races, and then, I've seen some other videos of them running at a couple different racetracks. So they look like a ton of fun to drive. On the dirt stuff, they look really good. The races I saw looked really good too. So yeah, I'm excited to get up there, and I feel like that's kind of the fun of it too, right? Like for me, I have no idea what I'm getting into, what the car is going to drive like. I'm just going to have to go up there and adapt and have fun. And yeah, it'll certainly be something that will be cool to knock off the bucket list. Not very many guys can say they, ran in a national series of kind of everything that NASCAR has to offer. So it'll be cool to go up there and add that one to the list. And it's been pretty cool too, honestly, just to see the fan base. I've got quite a few fans, believe it or not, up in Canada. So it'll be cool to be able to race in front of them, kind of on their home turf. A lot of them I know come to the States a lot of the time, and will be cool to finally be in their backyard and hopefully put on a really good show.
Chase, let's talk about the mindset you need to come into this deal. You've never met the team before. You don't know anything about what you're flying into. You're literally flying blind into this race. You're going to show up at the track. We've sent measurements, weights. It's been a bit of a different deal. How do you get your mindset around, yes, I can be competitive when I've never met anybody that I'm rolling into race with?
Yeah, it's fun. Truthfully, it takes me back to my sprint car days, right? Like I would go run a sprint car or midget for somebody, and I didn't really know them, didn't know any of their crew guys, and would just take my seat with me and bolt it in that day and go racing. So it's kind of similar. Just I'm not bringing my seat with me there, have a seat already in it, and hopefully it fits. But yeah, I really enjoy that. Even the last couple of years now, I've went and raced sprint cars in New Hampshire, and it was kind of the same thing. I drove for Matt Tanner and didn't know absolutely anything about him, his race team, his family, or anything, and have turned into a really good friendship and really enjoy every time I get to go up there now. So I'm sure it'll be the same. I know the team that I'm driving for, it sounds like, has had a lot of success and has been able to win a lot of races and championships. So I know I'll be in a good car, which is obviously a huge part of it, and hopefully can just add another win to their tally mark, because it certainly sounds like they're really successful.
I think you'll be in the ballpark for sure, Chase. And I apologize. We didn't send this question in advance, but it just popped into my mind. How much different is your mindset these days now that it's announced what you're doing next year? Not only do you have a deal for next year, but it doesn't have to be a secret. Does that change your mindset? Does it take a weight off your shoulders?
Yeah, I think so, for sure, especially with how crazy the silly season market is this year. There's never really been a time where there's been this many drivers available in the Cup Series. And then you throw in the fact that, there's obviously guys that are coming up from the lower series as well. It definitely changes things. I think for me, at least, just trying to get something done early in the off or in the season actually. So it's definitely nice to be able to kind of have that done and over with. I don't think it changes the approach. Every single week you go out there, you're trying to win the race and trying to do the best you can for your team. But it certainly is nice to know, that you do have a ride next year. And, especially for me, it's not like I'm a single guy. I have a wife, I have a son, I have twins on the way. So, having a job and having a future is definitely important, and definitely nice to get it, out of the way early and be one of the first guys kind of off the board and just be able to move on and just focus on, the 14 car the rest of the season.
Chase, let's talk about some of your partners that have joining the party here. We're going to show off the car, and this is the reveal of the Renai Ford you'll be driving for Dave Jacobs. Show the car, Spencer. How cool is it that we announced a Canadian deal here, and a bunch of your partners right away say, yeah, I want to get on board with this. So, there you see the Renai number one.
I lost all audio. I have no idea if you guys can hear me or not.
Oh, we got you.
Yeah, I got you now.
Yeah.
All right.
Chase, the question was, you have a bunch of partners jump on here when you announce a Canadian deal. How cool is it that you can bring Renai, tankless water heaters, and Mahindra tractors and a couple other partners to the party here in Canada?
Yeah, it's super exciting. And, I think the coolest part about it is not only Renai, but also Mahindra, they have a really big presence in Canada. So, I know that Renai, especially, a ton of the races that they bring their guests to, a lot of them are from Canada. So, a lot of the time they have to travel super far to come see me race, and it'll be nice for them to kind of have a race in their backyard. So, yeah, it's just cool. When this opportunity kind of came together and, we kind of looked at the list of people that already work with us on the Cup side. It was trying to figure out, who would be interested in going and doing something like this. And, they were the two that instantly kind of came to mind just because of their presence in Canada. And, it'll be really neat, I think, to have all their folks out there. We're planning on hosting over 40 people at the event, and just hopefully they all have a great time, right? They get to come to the racetrack, hang out with me, and hopefully watch an awesome race and just have a good time and kind of get away from the stress of everyday life.
Man, sprint cars and stock cars on the same night on a dirt track. I don't see how you can enjoy that, Chase.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm excited myself just to watch the sprint cars. I wish I was racing in it, but it'll be fun to honestly get a race and then, be a race fan at the same time. It's not very often you get to see stock cars, especially a NASCAR style stock car and a sprint car on the same ticket. And I know every single NASCAR stock car race I've ran on dirt, they definitely have not had sprint cars on the same night. So it'll be fun to go and do it. I couldn't imagine how fast the sprint car would feel if I was running both on the same night, and how slow the stock car would probably feel if I was running them on the same night. But it'll definitely be fun to just be a race fan and hopefully watch some awesome racing. I know a couple of the 360 guys up there. So it'll be cool to kind of finally watch them and see them in person.
Yeah, you'll be impressed with the talent. The question you asked Tony Stewart, I'm sure you've thought about it yourself. If you could run one car on one track, what would it be?
Yeah, for me, it would be definitely a 410 sprint car. And my favorite track that I've ever ran is Tri-State Speedway in Hofstad, Indiana. It's just this tight little bull ring, super tight corners, and kind of longer straightaways for a short track. But you just absolutely back the thing in backwards there. You're just on the gas and doing wheelies down the straightaway. It is the most fun I've ever had in a race car. So it was kind of my second home track growing up too, so that certainly helps. But that definitely would be the one that is at the top of the list if I had to drive something, one track, one style car for the rest of my life.
Right on, Chase. Well, we look forward to meeting you in person next Thursday at the Ohsweken race. Other than that, man, travel safe. Good luck this weekend, and we'll be ready for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thanks, Chase.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys. Thank you.
Chase Briscoe, ladies and gentlemen, of course, one of the stars going to be joining the NASCAR Canada Series on the dirt here at Ohsweken, July 11th, which is a Thursday event. Spencer, you got the commercial? Run it if we do. And we'll wrap up this segment by looking at what's coming up here.
Ohsweken Speedway welcomes back the NASCAR Canada Series to the dirt on Thursday, July 11th for the Freshstone Dirt Classic. The Freshstone Dirt Classic will showcase the nation's top stock car series, as well as NASCAR Cup driver Chase Briscoe on the country's premier dirt track, Ohsweken Speedway. Sprint cars and stock cars, all on one ticket. July 11th at Ohsweken Speedway. Go to ohswekenspeedway.ca to reserve your tickets and camping.
Oh, I don't know. I'm nervous, excited. Man, I gotta say that Chase. I don't think we could have picked a better guy. He's pumped. He's ready to come. Going to be a good attraction to bring to the facility, and I'm excited for it. It just kind of all came together really nice in the past 2 weeks.
And I was going to mention that you can see that he is genuinely interested in coming up to race. Not just show up, not just cash a check, but come up, get in a race car, compete. And that's cool. That's not always the case.
You're absolutely right. We've dealt with a few of them over the years. Most guys excited. It's great to have a facility that they're talking. How cool is that? That Tony Stewart says his one choice to race would be a 410 at Ohsweken if he had one thing to race for the rest of his life. That's pretty cool. I'll address that, Steven. Why one night for NASCAR? It's expensive to bring the NASCAR series in, and you have to really sell a lot of tickets to make it work. And when you do 2 nights and one night rains out, you can really take an ass kicking at the gate. It's tough. So at the end of the day, one night just makes a lot more business sense to offset with a sprint car night. I think what we haven't really talked about much is the sprint car and the things, Adam, which is going to be badass. For example, Thursday nights with the TSN coverage with decent paying, I think you're going to bring a lot of the crates from the East. So we're going to see some invaders like Adam Turner bringing both cars for 2 days. I actually invited Adam to come on, but he couldn't get there tonight. But guys like that, Andrew Hennessy will be back. I'm sure those types of drivers will be coming down. But then, Adam, you and I talked with the guys from the West, as I've been calling it, the Ohio, Michigan, Indiana drivers, and the list we got back. I'm going to pull up right here because it was damn impressive.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Without looking at the list, without looking at the list, this is how impressive it is because I don't remember shit. Max Stambaugh, Dustin Daggett.
Yep.
Jared Horseman?
Yep. Phil Grassman, Greg Dahlman, Kelsey Ivey, Brad Lamberson, Eli Lakin, and Ryan Rule are all confirmed coming down. So those are pretty much 10 to 11 drivers that we haven't seen since pre-pandemic at Ohsweken. Yeah. So when Double D comes back, Mike, those are just the guys from the West. So we haven't talked about the Barneys, the Jordan Poiriers, there's a ton of them over there from the West.
Any of the ESS guys.
New York side. Yeah, all the ESS guys too. And I'm trying to find that email from John Tiff because we were asking him the same thing. And
I remember reading that email and thinking, man, these are some names.
Yeah, so we haven't had I'm sure Cruder will be back. Farnham, all the regulars. It's going to be awesome. So I expect, I shouldn't say expect, I wouldn't be surprised if we get north of 50 to 60 sprint cars. Any prediction you want to make?
You know what, Clinton? I think 40 cars would be phenomenal. Because in the past, we've kind of oversold a little bit. Oh, there's going to be 60 cars. Those days might have passed. But to me, 40 cars, that'd be supreme.
Well, I think
almost half the cars don't qualify.
We're at 24 on a regular night. You add those 10, so we're at 34. 40 is a given, if you ask me. And remember, we're paying 500 Canadian to start, which is solid money. And we're also paying $10,000 to win on the Friday night and $5,000 to win on the Thursday. So solid payouts all around.
I hope we get to that night and you can say, Adam, you're an idiot. 41 cars, that's my call.
All right,
and I think that's awesome.
Hey, I wouldn't be mad with 41. And we also have, as a promoter, we have that debate about, you want the car count because it brings people and such. But you also don't need 80 cars where it takes us 3 hours to qualify them all. We're trying to get NASCAR race on the track either. So it's that mix of we want the best of the best. So I think 40 would be a sweet number.
Keep this in mind too. For a lot of those Northern Sprint Car Nationals, our locals got lucky to qualify. Those days are over. Our locals are as good as anybody now. So it used to be if we
Yes.
got 50 cars and 25 of them were locals, those 25 were really going to struggle to get into the show. Now, our competitors are as good as anybody, which has actually hurt the numbers of people coming in because it's not easy pickings anymore. We're not low-hanging fruit. You got to come in and be good to get into the show.
Yeah, Johnny Longboat throwing things. Parker Evans, Joe Trenka, the Cobras. Yeah, I'd be surprised if they don't all show. Now they have New York Speed Weeks, right, starting this weekend, so that's a bit tough on them. They go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a whole bunch of dates strung together. So, I mean, if they got engines left and tires, I'm sure they'll be headed up our way if they still want to race. Either way, if you're a slick track guy, it's going to pay off that night. You know, it's always slick on those nights, and we polish that clay up like mirrors. So. It should be a good one. Excited about that. Ryan Dyson is going to join us in about 15 minutes time. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about NASCAR Nova Scotia, man. The place looked badass. Riverside's a hot little track. I don't know how I would describe it watching it. It looked like high banked, like a small Bristol or high banked Martinsville. I don't know. How would you describe it?
It was built to be a replica of Bristol Motor Speedway, only at a 1/3 mile distance. So it was built to mimic Bristol Speedway. You don't understand how high. So interestingly, Spencer, cue your microphone when we get to it. But Spencer, we got there and spent scratch that. It's very high banked. It's very, very fast. It is deceiving how high banked it is. You don't even get it from the grandstands. You have to be standing on the track.
Well, when Spencer and I were watching the videos of the place and talking about how high the banking was, I couldn't believe it, you know. And the racing was awesome. The game was short track Saturday night. They were beating the shit out of each other there, from what I could see. Like, is it the nature of the track, or was everybody just up on the wheel?
They were up on the wheel, and it was selective bumping. It wasn't like I'm going to hit everybody that I pass because that's the way to do it. It was, you piss me off, I'm going to get you back. You piss me off, I'm going to get you back. There was a lot of that going on. There was a couple of wrecks that were tough to watch. I mean, they were expensive crashes. But by and large, the battles between Kevin Lacroix and Jason Hathaway were fantastic. The Maritime Pro Stock Tour, that was amazing to watch.
I hear you guys say it was a major pilot, like out of 16 cars, 15 crashed.
Yes. I think there were still about 16 left on the track, and there's video popping around of it.
Oh, here we go.
There's some highlights of the car. That was a hard hit that Donald Teach took. So about 120 laps into a 150 lap race, the field came to a restart. The outside pole sort of really jumped Danny Chisholm. Danny Chisholm was the leader on the inside. So he took off about 2/3 of the way down the straightaway. As we keep looking at that, that wreck doesn't get any less painful. But look at Larry Jackson. What a job he does to avoid it. So the front row go down.
You're talking about, though.
No. They go down just past the start-finish line. They touch the front row. And the leader spins out slowly. Everyone behind them crashes. I mean, everybody. Nicholas Noggle half spins, overcorrects, head on into the wall in turn one. Unbelievably drives away. They peel the front end off the car. There was nothing in front of the radiator, and he came back to finish third. It was insane.
That'll do it for the East Coast swing for the NASCAR crew. You know, went to Newfoundland. You had to go to Nova Scotia. I didn't. I stayed home to Delaware, and that got pushed to Sunday, but still some great racing there. Next up, the NASCAR
and a great crowd.
Yeah.
Really good crowd. Sorry, I have to add that because I was happy for Donald Chisholm. His weekend got screwed up. They had to wedge 2 race nights into one, so he had to figure out what to do with ticket sales. And but they filled the place, and that's what's important.
Just got a message from Chase's handler. Jake said, great job. Thanks for having him on tonight. Thank you. Oh, do you have the mini stock wreck from Humberstone? I don't think we clipped that one. It was a wild one. The Erskines got clobbered there in turn 1. Did you see that wreck, Adam?
I did.
That was a wild one. Humberstone had the first of its final 5, the All-Canadian. Spencer Riddell won that one. Good on Spencer. I think that was a shocker. Not to say.
How did you just say his name?
He said Riddell.
Wow, what a dick.
That's right, isn't it? That's how he put it today on Facebook.
Yeah. And I was screwing it up down the way. I don't know if Greg was screwing it up. I was definitely screwing it up. I've got enough mini sock people mad at me. I don't need people mad for mispronouncing names.
Oh, yeah, because did you got the one that you guys were telestrating on that got you in trouble?
Yeah. I don't think that the Dickey clan is real happy with – and I did – it was a racing incident, in my opinion. But as a rule, similar to the car behind is almost always at fault. Again, I'm going to step on it. The car that changes lanes on a straightaway has to take some responsibility. So the car at the back has the opportunity to lift. But on a straightaway, and this, in my mind, I go back to Dallas Biederman and Jeff Burke in 1972, whatever freaking year it was, where Biederman came across the nose of Burke and hit him with his right rear, turned head first into the wall. And we didn't penalize Burke, because how do you penalize someone for driving straight down the straightaway? Do you got the clip, Spencer? I guess we might as well look at it since you're going to. Oh, here we go. You need your telestrator again. Now, when I look there, to me, it looks like Tristan moved to the left and not Ashton to the right. Ultimately, I think this is a racing accident. Play it again. Now, this is the shit part about it. That's exactly. At the end. Okay, so stop. So look where everyone is. Doug Erskine is defending. Hold on. We're looking where we have to take for granted that we know who all these people are. So the yellow car in the center of your screen is where we're going to start the talk. Directly behind him is Doug Erskine, who you're talking about, the orange car with the black hood. To his right, and kind of sandwiched between him and the eventual crash car, Ashton Dickey, who's the blue car with the roof, is kind of the orange and blue and white stripe. Now, just give us a couple feet, Spence. So, stop it right there. Look at where they're all going, though, too. So we look at where they are. So Ashton Dickey is looking ahead of him. He needs to move to the outside a little bit because he wants to pass the car in front of him. So he's already thinking, I got to move to the right. Doug Erskine is lined up directly behind the yellow car of Jeremy Cooper. Tristan Da Silva, from his vantage point, he probably doesn't even know where he wants to be just yet. He just knows he has a lane between two cars that he doesn't want to give up. So play that same thing, Spencer. Stop it there. Too far. So back that up a little. About half that. Right Stop there. It. Perfect. So here's where Ashton's already committed to move up where Sean Taylor is. But once the contact is made, that's where the point becomes, okay, this is now a racing deal. Because Ashton can turn back to the left when you feel you've made contact on the right. Ashton probably knows the 64 is out there. Peripheral vision, you can use your ears. Think, okay, I see that's one of the Erskine cars to my right. He probably has no idea Tristan Da Silva's there trying to wedge himself between the 1 and the 64. But again, looking ahead, he's not going to run straight in the tire tracks of the 76. He's got to find a hole. Now let me just, before we go any further, I've heard arguments from all sides, right? And this is where, in my opinion, I think it kind of comes to a racing deal, as we say, okay? So you've got everybody's kind of doing what they need to do for themselves, right? You got Da Silva, and then I guess I don't want to defend Tristan or come in the middle because I'm one of the officials that I should really, like I told you before we're on the air, there's a lot of still shit going on with this. I probably shouldn't even be discussing it, but since we're pulling it out here. Now, if Tristan Da Silva, the argument was Tristan should have lifted. But by the time he sees Ashton coming over, if he jams on his brake, he's going to get run over by Tim DeBoer from the DeBoer from the back. So
I don't, it's just one of those deals. What are you going to do? I think your assessment of Ashton, shifting a little to the right to set up the next corner makes sense. And I think by the time they realized it, I just don't know how you fix it. Now, this needs to be fixed. Play this, Spencer. Let it go. So he's sitting there way too long to be hit like this after the fact. And we saw the same thing on Saturday or Sunday at Delaware with Jake Elwell getting run over. Come on, guys. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but I can understand why the Dickies are extra pissed off because their car is destroyed now from what should have been a simple spin.
And, I mean, we've got Nick Erskine and Doug Erskine commenting, and I appreciate that, explaining their way through it. That's the challenging thing, Clinton, is I have great respect for all the racers that any racer that shows up on race night. It's a lot of work to get out there. But we also have to talk about these things. Right? It's what our job is. When you've got a long delay and you keep watching replays, I don't think anyone is to blame per se. I think it's an accident. And that's why they call them accidents.
Yeah, just a tough deal. I mean, obviously we don't want to see anybody get wrecked. We saw a couple of, delayed collisions like that teams have to be a bit better on, I think, when it comes down to that stuff. But, man, I feel bad for the Dickies, and Ashton, they have gorgeous equipment they bring every week, ready to run. That whole Thorn team's got some good stuff, but, they just haven't quite had the luck. We better not waste any time jumping with this guy because he's on baby duty right now, and I hope the baby's having a nap or something, or Mama's going to be mad. But we're going to steal the Dayco Superstock winner from Delaware at his home track. Ryan Dyson is going to join us now. Ryan joining us from the nursery or the garage or in the middle somewhere.
Why can't it be both?
Yeah, I got to have the baby in the garage too, right, Ryan? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me, guys. He's in bed. My parents are watching the baby monitor, so I'm good for you.
Right on.
Perfect. Ryan, congratulations on your win. And I want you to walk us through it because I don't think Peterborough was a real high point of your season. So great for you for turning that around.
Yeah, I mean, Peterborough, we were super thrilled. It's the first time we've ever really brought a competitive race car to Peterborough Speedway. We were running the top 5, and I thought we had speed to kind of stay there the rest of the race and walk out of there with our first top 5 and set ourselves up for a really good run in that series. And then stupid things happened, and a distributor wire popped off. And by the time we got to pit road, the field just went back to green. We didn't even have a chance to fix it to get back out there, even though it was just as simple as plugging a wire back in. But stuff happens, and it just kind of made us even more determined to make sure we went out there and we were top of the board in every single session at Delaware, and that's exactly what we did.
Delaware's a tough track to get your handle on. For you to be winning a Dayco Superstock race there on one of the big weekends, as a kid who grew up there, a kid who only started racing not too long ago, are you surprised how fast you kind of got to the top of your division and running the way you are, Ryan? Because it wasn't that long ago you guys were just getting started at this gig.
No, to be honest with you, I'm not surprised. We work harder than a lot of people probably do, and that's on the track, off the track. We're out here nonstop, and I'm surrounded by a lot of really smart people and a lot of people who are willing to help us. So, we've come a long ways in a very short period of time. Yes, I agree with that, and we haven't been racing that long, like you said, but I think we have a knack for wanting to do things properly, and I'm really proud of what we've done, but not arrogantly, but just I'm not really surprised that we're able to do it really well.
No, you explained that very well. There's nothing wrong. There's a big difference between being confident and being cocky, and I think you express confidence and you know why. So that's pretty cool. Ryan, there's been talk about you running other divisions as well and other shows. Is there any potential this year for that to happen still?
Yeah, I mean, everyone kind of knows we were supposed to run the NASCAR Pinty Series or NASCAR Canada Series event at the end of the year last year at Delaware Speedway, and just last year didn't really go the way that we had hoped it would, and we kind of decided it was best to put all of our eggs into the basket to build a brand new car with White Motorsports over the winter, and so that's what we did, and it just for the longevity of our race team, we felt that made sense. It's still something that's on our radar. We really, really want to get into that series full time one day. That's the dream. Whether it's me driving or my nephew's driving or my son driving or but one day that's the dream, is to get there full time and sort of make a living at it with our, we're trying to make the YouTube channel grow and all that stuff. But I'm trying to have a few conversations with a few potential people about maybe even running the APC race at the end of the year, but nothing's advanced more than just, hopeful conversations. But as of now, no, nothing's come to fruition, but the goal is always to do more.
Ryan, as you get farther into the season, how do you feel about the rest of the season and the upcoming tracks you're going to have to face?
I'm really excited about it. I really thought that Peterborough was our weakest link on our schedule, and we went out there and there's all kinds of flies in the shop. I really thought that Peterborough was the weakest link on our schedule, and we went out there and had a great car, and it was the first time I've ever really been able to perform that well there. So I'm really optimistic. I mean, other than that race, we haven't finished outside the top 10 this season with this new car. And I don't think that, like I said, that finishing outside the top 10 was warranted. So, Delaware Speedway, including weekly races and the tour race, we've got 3 straight top 3 finishes there now. So, we're top 5 in weekly points and top 5 in tour points now after that rebound. So I'm really, really excited for the rest of the season. We're kind of a couple more weeks here until we get a little bit of a mid-season break, but, hopefully Delaware Speedway this Friday, we can carry that momentum. And then I'm really, really excited for Flamborough Speedway. It's a track that I really like and we seem to always do pretty well at. But for some reason, we seem to always start on the high side of row number 1 and get shuffled back and have to race our way forward. So maybe this year we'll start 1st, 3rd, or 5th.
There is an outside groove there, Ryan. I know it hasn't been wonderful for you, but it is out there. So don't lose hope.
It's funny, we were talking about it. And I really think with this new car and the way we've got it working and sort of, the updates and stuff that we have in our program, I really think that if it were to happen this year, I think that we're in a better position to experience that high side at Flamborough in a little bit better fashion, if you will.
Ryan, let's talk a bit about the YouTube channel and some of the other stuff you guys have been doing to promote your team.
Yeah, the YouTube channel is growing. We're just shy of 1,200 followers or subscribers now. It's not growing at the rate I would like to grow because I think the content we put out is just as good, if not better, than some of the people who are making a living at it. Like your Landon Huffmans and Hunt the Fronts and stuff. I think the content we're putting out is just as good, if not better. So it's not growing as fast as I would hope, but it's still growing. Our partners really love it. We have a lot of fun with it. I have a lot of fun editing the vlogs and putting them together. And we've mostly just done race day content this season, but our following has sort of lobbied for us to start doing some more of the shop stuff that we did all winter with, building the race cars. So it's a lot of work, but it's definitely something that we like doing. It's also nice, to have those keepsakes too.
Oh, big time. You're documenting everything that you're doing, right? You're building your own library, which is amazing.
Yeah, even after about 3 months into the off season or 2 months into the off season, when we're starting to get the itch again, it's nice to go back and kind of reminisce and go back and kind of be, do a little bit of studying and the way our season went last year, we even used it for a little bit of motivation. So yeah, definitely building a little bit of a bank of keepsakes there.
Ryan, I've got a follow-up question for you. 20 years ago, I think the dream you have right now was fairly common. People wanted to run CASCAR. They wanted to be part of the CASCAR Super Series, what then became NASCAR Canada. In the last probably 10 years, that dream has shifted to Quebec. And the marketing machine in Quebec and the young people racing, aspiring to get to that level, that's exactly where they want to go. What draws you to it? Because I wish we had more of that in Ontario. I wish we had more young, budding race car drivers and entrepreneurs who had that same vision. I think we can get there, but why do you think that's what draws you?
I don't really know. I kind of, whether it's the NASCAR name or what, but I just, I think it's the intrigue of being part of NASCAR. And a couple of years ago, I went to CTMP with DJ Kennington to work for the weekend, and just seeing like the actual fan experience and the following that the tour has. And, there was 40,000 people there, if not more. Just the interaction that the fans had with the teams and stuff, and being able to travel all over Canada. It's just it's a really cool deal. And ultimately, I know that we'll have to probably get to the APC series full time and stuff before then. And the racing, and it's not a diss on the APC series or anything by any means. It's just that kind of national level, I think, is the real draw for me. And I think that there's more of an opportunity to sort of make a career at it, combining it with the YouTube channel, with the national draw, I think is kind of the best explanation I might have for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Right on, Ryan. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Good luck as you try and carry the momentum from last week into this weekend at Delaware, and we'll definitely see you out on the tour this summer.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, guys. And you guys will be covering our race at Flamborough in a couple of weeks with Racing America and G-Force. So hopefully we'll talk to you then.
Absolutely.
Right.
Look forward to it.
Ryan Dyson, one of the upcoming stars of the Dayco Superstock Series we're fortunate to cover here.
I really like the way he answered those questions, Clinton. Like that's
right.
Confidence without being cocky is fantastic. He's just such a quality young man, too.
I agree, too. This guy's not quite the quality young man. He's been around a while, won a lot of races. But we've known him, so we can bust balls. Adam Turner's going to join us now for a couple minutes. Adam, let's bring you on. How you doing, bud? We brought you on to talk about Ohsweken next week. I assume you're bringing the crate and the late model, and you bring in, everything else. Because do you know what Adam Ross? You know what Adam Turner's claim to fame is? This some right? He's the first driver in Brockville, Ontario Speedway history to win in all 5 classes, or 5 separate classes, which is pretty amazing. Congrats on that, Adam.
Thank you. Yeah, 5 separate classes. I haven't won a feature in 358, just the heat race, so that doesn't count. But so yeah, 5 separate classes. So it's still pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Adam, how do you do so well? And then you're always messaging us when we're on the air. Like, when are you working on your car to go out and win in 5 divisions if you're busy messaging us, telling us what we're doing wrong?
Well, I'm lucky enough a couple cars aren't mine, so that works out good. And I tell people, the more you stress, the slower you're going to go. So just go there and wing it, and you'll always be fast.
That's awesome. Adam, let's talk about a couple different track situations. So first off, let's preview the Ohsweken race coming up. You're going to be in crate sprints both nights and the late model on Friday night. Why should fans come out and watch you guys from the East come up and battle everybody here, the Ohsweken regulars, over 2 nights in the crates and 1 night in the late models?
Well, with the sprint side of things, hopefully we can prove that we are getting stuff figured out slowly there. I know Ohsweken's a tough gig because you guys got so many good cars and so many cars, period. And not having the car count you guys have, we all look forward to coming that way, even to see how good we really stack up, because we don't know, right? We have good quality cars at Can-Am and Brockville. We don't have many of them, unfortunately, but I think they're all pretty quality. Like Brockville, we've had 5 races and 5 different winners. So I think that tells you that even if we get 10 cars, it's pretty impressive that 5 of them are that competitive.
The fun thing about that class, Adam, and tell me if this is some of what drew you to it, the competition is stiff. I mean, you've got champions from so many different forms of racing, both dirt and pavement, all converging on one division, because that's really where the competition is right now. What drew you into it?
Well, I wanted to try a sprint out, and the opportunity came to try it, and I mean, now I do. I didn't know if I would like it because I've never been a sprint car guy. So, I was always one of the guys that say, oh, man, we're going to have to wait and blah, blah, blah. But when you're involved with sprint car racing, you don't notice anything about that. When your crew doesn't notice it anymore, no one notices it. So, but the racing side of the crate deal is they're probably one of the, as a driver standpoint, they're probably one of the most technical cars I've driven, as far as not being able to get the cars too sideways or kill your momentum. You kind of got to stay smooth. You got to be as good as your car is almost just to compete. So for me, that's the fun part, is just trying to get myself better too.
I want to show you a picture from Humberstone. You were in this race on Sunday. They had issues with the track being super dusty at the All-Canadian. Show that picture, Spencer, and there's a lot of talk chat going on. This is a view from the pits looking up to the track. And I spoke to Terry Vince, and, they're obviously Terry said, we hit on a lot of great things, but with the track, we dropped the ball on the 1 yard line. And he was bummed about how that came about. Man, what's it like to drive through that, Adam?
Well, not very fun. But it is what it is. I mean, it's not. Terry did have people in place, and the people didn't come through doing their job, so it's not like it was totally Terry's fault. But as a driver, I mean, some of those we only really had one restart, I think, which I'm surprised because I was expecting a lot more with us. And, the big cars on a little or narrow track. But going into turn 3 on the one restart, I was behind Nate Rinaldi. And as soon as we entered turn 3, all the cars disappear. You can't see the guardrail on the bottom. You couldn't see. You just basically, if you had any common sense and were in the middle of the field, I'm sure you didn't want to even touch the throttle, but you kind of have to because you don't want to get run over from behind. So you're kind of just playing, you're just riding it out, and hopefully no one's parked there.
How often have you experienced that? And like you say, I don't want to throw shade at Terry Vince. I mean, it is what it is. It's over and done. But how often have you experienced that?
Some tracks, there's even, Ohsweken likely for guys will tell you for a lap, maybe down the front stretch on a restart, it'll get that blinding. But usually there's enough cars, or a lot of tracks would clean up quick. Like it'll only take a lap or two, but it didn't seem to ever clean up. I don't know whether there was just not enough cars or big cars or fast to get the dust blown off. I'm not really sure, but that one stuck around a long time. I raced at Syracuse the only time I was there, and it was the same way. And obviously you're going a lot faster there, but it wasn't it was almost, you get to the corners at Syracuse and you could see this was the opposite. You could almost see a little bit down the straightaways, but then the minute you got close to the corner, you were just hoping that guys were as nervous as you were and were just kind of keeping straight.
Adam, let's talk about Ohsweken. Gonna be a lot slicker, a lot different there. In hindsight, I know they looking back at the All-Canadian, they wish they had to run the late models earlier to steal that track over, and I think they might have had a different result. Ohsweken can be super slick. You mentioned the technicality of it. How different is the mindset between driving the crates and the late models?
The late model is going to have a lot more traction as far as adjustability with the suspension, I would say, and probably it will be not easier to go fast because I struggle in both cars at Ohsweken typically, but I guess the difference would be just the late model. I'm still got more confidence in myself I think, than the sprint, but I'm sure that'll come.
And confidence is everything, man. You can't go out there and be hesitant or be unsure of yourself. You've got the skill. You've done it everywhere. Ohsweken's a little bit different, but it'll come.
Well, to be honest, with the how wide Ohsweken is, that's the hardest part for me. Is with a sprint car, you never know if you're hearing somebody coming up beside you, so you kind of leave a lane all the time, and you're hesitant about using some of the racetrack. Like even on the straightaways, I've always raced with respect if guys earned it, and I don't want to right rear somebody heading down the straight, right? So if I think somebody's coming, I always leave a lane, but I ended up slowing myself by being respectful in it. And you probably don't even have to be because guys will know of it. If they're not there, they should probably get out of it. But still, just racing hesitant slows me down a bit.
Right on, Adam. We'll let you go, man. Thanks for stopping by last minute. We appreciate you coming on to talk about what's going on. We look forward to seeing you at Ohsweken in about 9 days' time, man.
Sounds great. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Adam.
Adam Turner from the East, one of the top guys coming in.
He's one of the fun ones. Right, when you get the messages in the background during a race night and throwing in some opinions, and I don't know how much of that do you get, Clinton? Because I get it a fair bit, and I love reading it because sometimes it validates something that I've said, or sometimes it's a different opinion than what I've given, and I got to think about that and think, oh shit, did I mess this up?
Now I get a few messages. Usually, guys reaching out to me, it's always appreciated. And I actually got a few good comments about Friday. Even Mike Sarantakis had a bad night, ended up rolling down in front, had to be pushed behind the wall. He sent me a message and said, hey, it's great to see everything running along. The new race director's doing a great job. It's appreciated to get everything hustled up and out early. So, hey, even when the guys have a crappy night and they send us that message, they really appreciate it because they probably don't want to talk about racing that morning. But the fact they reached out was great.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And I think Dave's doing a good job, even though I keep calling him Doug.
Okay, we got a couple minutes left because I got chicken wings in the fryer and I got to eat. I'm starving. But a couple things. World of Outlaw lifted restrictions. That's not really a big story, right? We don't need to get into that much.
Well, it is. It is, and it's interesting. They lifted the restriction for PA Speed Week because you can only run so many non-World of Outlaw events and still qualify for full points fund. And they did it because there have been so many rainouts on the schedule, and they got to allow their people to try to make money. So that is a big story. It's a big deal that they've let them do that.
Cherokee light signals was just a funny thing. Show it, Spencer. This is a thing that Cherokee Speedway has. They have different lights on top of the tower. So it has colored lighting system. They assign each class a color or a color combination. The lights are located at the top of the tower. When the class that is up next, the lighting combination is illuminated. That's their signal that they need to be getting ready and lined up. Picture below the switches they use. Love how highlighting unique things at different racetracks. So, hey, when your light's on the tower, it's your turn to get ready. We use pit notes and Bob, but I thought that was kind of neat stuff.
Yeah.
Before we get into Burger Barn videos of the week, I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here about Ohsweken and parents. And we're at a real crossroads there, Adam. Kids are just out of control at Ohsweken. We have parents who are not paying attention to the kids who are playing lacrosse and stuff in the pits. And I'm not anti-lacrosse, but that's how you get run over, by chasing errant sport balls and stuff like that. We have kids riding scooters and bicycles in the pits, which is ridiculous. We're at a crossroads, Adam, where what do we do? We're at the point now where we're going to have to potentially not allow kids in the pits at Ohsweken if the parents don't get together. So I was talking to Dave and some of the other staff today. So option A, we rant and rave, and everybody as a community co-parents each other's kids. And if you see a parent not paying attention to their kids, give them an earful or give the kids an earful. And that's how we're going to get out of this. The other thing that happens, Adam, is, we start doing what they do at Eldora Speedway, where every parent has to buy a $25 photographer-style fluorescent vest for every kid to wear. Every vest is numbered like a photographer vest, and we're taking badge numbers of kids that are out of control, and those kids just lose their privileges. And it gets as far bad to option C, where we have to eliminate all kids under 14 in the pits because parents just are being bad parents. So what the hell do we do?
I have an idea. You know how if you go to a Buffalo Bills game or something, they've got a drunk tank? So if you get too carried away, you basically get Buffalo Bill arrested. We need a kiddie tank. So sorry, parents, if you're not doing your job, we're arresting your kids. We're putting them in the kiddie tank. You can get them back later at the end of the show.
They automatically become
arrest
the kids club.
Arrest them.
I just don't know what to say, Adam. We don't want to become a police state in the pits, but it has become an epidemic. I have multiple people coming out to me at the end of the night and saying, these kids were doing this, these kids were doing that. I don't want to be the guy who eliminates, because I look at the Turners, okay? For example, Corey has a young child. Ryan and Jenna have 2 young kids. Both are well behaved. Grandma's always got them. Mom and dad are always with these kids. These kids grew up 4th generation racers. They know what to do. But then they're going to have their family privileges eliminated by other people who can't keep their kids in order. So what do we do? It's a serious problem.
Here it is.
Adam, I know you want to joke about it, but it's not funny. It's a serious problem.
I'm not joking. We've got the wagon. Start filling the wagon. Hey, you're acting up. You're in the wagon. We're going to keep driving the wagon around all night long. I'm not kidding. You can't penalize the good parents and the good kids.
Oh, watch me. We're going to have to.
Because, listen, it's like a finish line. You need a finish line. It's dumb that you don't. It makes life harder, but you should have one. Police it. Start giving these kids a problem. Spray paint a big orange X on their back if they're being bad. So now you know who the bad ones are.
I'm seriously going to have an all-pit
I keep going
at Ohsweken.
Right. I keep going to joking, Clinton, but I do. You have to police it. That is your problem. And until you try to correct that problem, you can't just eliminate kids. You could, but you shouldn't. Try to fix the problem first.
Parents are the problem.
You were allowed to reprimand. You know what? Make the parents wear the goddamn bibs. And put a number on it, and the kid gets a number. And if the kid with the number 27's being a dink, go to the parent and say, you're a dink, out. At the end of the night, you can come back and get your kid.
If we don't start seeing a change, there's going to have to be change. I'm just saying, we are at our wits' end now. And you mentioned the wagon, okay? And I don't even want to talk about this because it's an amazing new tool we have to bring kids to the pits, get them up close. I get the insurance to okay it. At the end of the night, I hear there's kids dragging behind it, holding onto it, skiing behind it through the pits. So where are your parents? Okay?
Take pictures.
I know a few parents that need smacks in the head right now. You know, because they're letting the kids be idiots, and they're going to be the ones who going, it's your fault when my kid got run over. So I'm challenging every parent, everybody in the pits. If you're a parent, even if it's not your kid, tell the parents off, speak up, say, hey, you're going to have us lose all our privileges here because you're an ass with your kid. So let's get it together.
I do believe the parent should be marked with whatever the kids are. So if the kid's got to wear a bib, so does the parent. It'd be even nicer if we can differentiate which parent belongs to which kid. Because you know what? Not saying you want to shame anybody, but the fact that we have to guess, I don't know whose kid that is. You need to know. It's not up to you, Clinton. It's not someone's right to come into the pits at Ohsweken Speedway. Certainly not your right to bring your kids in. It's certainly not a right of the kid to be in there. It is a privilege. Even though you pay for it, it is still a privilege. Make it much more obvious who belongs to who. I'll wear one. Like I'll wear a pink shirt and say, Connor, you got to wear this pink shirt tonight so people know you're mine. Try not to do anything stupid I don't want to be associated with. These kids. Yeah, Dad, you're usually the one doing stupid things. So, well, there you go. We're branded. We're both the same.
I'm open to options, man, but it's getting worse every week, and I hear more and more horror stories every week. I heard, it's bad.
Whoa. The Messiah has spoken. For those who don't know, that is the boss. That is the voice of reason.
You never know who's watching, right?
Yeah, but there does have to be consequences. There's no secrets. People know what goes on and what goes on where. And there's been kids in pits for a long, long time. But do it better. Like I say, it is a privilege. It is a privilege. Look, like you turned purple. It's okay. It's okay. Take a breath.
So Kevin Best is the insurance agent for 98% of all the tracks here in Canada. And Kevin is our insurance agent.
And a great guy.
I wonder if Kevin was watching weekly or he heard we were talking about insurance issues and his little insurance spider sense went off and jumped around. Kevin, we would love to have you as a guest. These are great discussions that we're trying to figure out, and it frustrates me as a situation there, and I wonder if I'm going to be requested to have a meeting tomorrow with my insurance agent.
Well, we're not sitting here trying to figure out how to hide something. Oh, how do we conceal this? We're talking about an issue that parents, listen, Clinton, you know what Connor's been like. Like, thank Christ he's 19, almost 20. When he was younger, he was a handful. But as big a handful as he was never a problem at a racetrack. We brought him up at a racetrack. He knew, here's what you can do, here is what you don't do. Here's where you've got to be alert and aware. Has he thrown the football around with T-Mac? Sure he has, in the campground. Not in the pits while there's races going on, right? People need to know, and it does go back on the management of the speedway. Set rules and enforce the damn rules, and just like racing rules, Clinton, don't set rules that you're not prepared to enforce.
No, man, and it's just like it would be so much easier if everybody could just play. It's kind of like tech, right? We don't want to catch anybody cheating. Just everybody play by the rules. We won't have these problems at all. But there's always a few bad apples out there that get things. Shock collars. Oh, Mike, I'm so pissed off on Friday nights. A lot of kids have their heads shocked right off. Parents need it. It's the parents. Get your stuff together, parents. We got a great thing here going. Don't screw it up. And don't ruin it for the other ones. So we all need co-parent. That's my message. Let's have some fun. Couple Burger Barn videos of the week, and then I'm going to eat chicken wings. What do we got, Spencer? What's on the Burger Barn video of the week? Oh, this is me and Adam when we get old. This is what me and you are going to do. We're just going to have we're going to join the Shriners. and we're going to do the little roller coaster truck all day long, every Saturday, everywhere we go.
Get out of town.
Cool,
I
eh?
am so down with that.
Who gets to? Spencer gets to drive the roller coaster wagon. What else we got? Okay, this is cool. Football, soccer. What do you think about these guys? It shoots.
Oh, that's
he
fabulous.
scores! That's pretty wild. What else we got? Anything else? I don't think we had a short week. Oh, this is just a gnarly cushion. Watch. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Here's from the other angle. Same corner. 1 over, 2 over. Just wild. Sometimes that cushion just comes out and jumps at you.
Eesh.
Whew. I think that's it, right?
So you say you don't like a slick track?
Yes, it's true.
I don't think we have the Humberstone mini stock wreck. Maybe for next week we'll get that. That was a scary wreck. Yeah, that was unfortunate for sure. So hopefully we don't see something like that again.
Good to see both Erskine boys are alive and well and, in the chat with us. So that's cool. Yeah, Tim Zach says, 0 toys and scooters. Kid leaves pit stallies with a family member or kicked out of the pits and get Bluetooth speakers out of their ears. Kids walking around in front of cars because they don't hear them. All legit problems. All legit problems, guys. So, love it.
It's got to be handled. So, folks, speak up. Don't be shy and don't be afraid because you know what? People have said, once a kid gets hurt, it's too late. That's absolutely true. So if you see something that's not right, go and report it. This is one case where we really need to all work together and be vigilant and responsible. And responsibility is not something I enjoy very much, but you got to do it.
I think I'm taking applications for parent police in the pits. It'll be the Triple P squad, Parental pit police.
PP.
We need the PPP over here right away. All right, everybody, we had fun. Thank you for stopping by. I can't believe I had that talk in front of Kevin. Oh my goodness.
I haven't seen you. I haven't seen you get that affected, maybe ever. But good, it just shows you're responsible.
It's like you say Beetlejuice, and boom, there's Kevin. I'm like, oh man, he's never been in here. But I guess we're gonna have to get together for lunch after all, Kevin. But we always try and be on top of it. We've been through this stuff before, and don't want to have these problems. So, anyways, let's move on. We appreciate everybody. Jump back. We're back in the rhythm. Of course, next week we'll be back here to set up the Ohsweken week once more time. Some more guests and big stars from that. Maybe we'll get Ken Schrader next week. Do you think Kenny knows how to use Zoom?
Someone on his team does.
I don't know. They're a bunch of good drinking, beer drinking old boys, but we'll work it out. Either way. Thanks, everybody, for being there. Thanks, Spencer, for everything you do. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. Thank you, Adam. Let's do this one more time next week.